Good thing, no algorithm. Another thing, this is the project that you will be working in the 2 weeks. Is as a math class. I know it and everything how it's going. I will try to not to go more over it. We have this the today class. You have this presentation of the restaurant project user book management app. Do you have a project that you have to present? I'm sorry, I don't know it. Uh, and then we have this project that is supposed that it has to be created that we will be also working into Formik. And tomorrow you will continue with Formik and management error. Then I am planning today. Maybe I will not go much in deep into the forms Formik. Uh, Personally, I like to use this sandbox. I'm not sure what you are using when you are working online, but I just like it. Feel free to, you can use it in your computer or wherever you need it or anything that is there. When we are manipulating forms, that if you start thinking about front-end development, there are two things that we do it. We do components and we do forms. And we make some logics about the forms, what the form are doing, but one of the most important part that we are doing is forms. Uh, why Formic? That I will just show you here, Formic. Why Formic? Formic is just another tool that you, by the way, are you already using Formic in another place so far? Maybe it can speed up, or is the first time that you even hear the word Formic?
First time.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I can go over there. Okay, Formik in this case is an open source library for React and React Native to create forms. I mean, that's it. You can see over here that you have OpenTV, Airbnb, Docker, Leaf. There are many companies that they are using, like a Booking, Priceline, Tile, PwC, and blah 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 blah. All these people are using Formik. Why? The main reason is like because you can manage error message, you can have error fields. There is some validation that you can have it. This one you can create a multi-step, four-level validation, field validation. Okay, there are many things that you can create in Forming, mostly because we do a lot of forms. And like every time that we are creating a form is over Forming is something that we have it. I will suggest you when you have some time, go over the documentation. And uh, by the way, just going out the React 18 forms. Uh, what is the React? Okay, okay. This you have it here. Yeah. Let me just see forms. Okay. Here is the thing. The idea is that React 18 has its own way to do forms. Okay. Then it is right now in a canary release. What that means is not the main React that we have it. The idea of React is, do you remember that you were using in this case class-based component, and then you have hooks? Well, let's say that what I will show you today is uh, class component, but in the form way. Why? Because the latest versions of React is arriving with the React forms. That is a native way, in this case, to manipulate the forms. The idea is like we will not need it to add anything extra. True being said, like if I have to say the truth right now, the old word is using of Formic, or in this case, React forms. Okay, there is another React form that you will have it here. For example, React form. That is just a hook that you use it. Why? I want to give you a reason why it's good to learn Formic, and you can and tenths, tenths. Okay, PM, PM, tenths, tenths. Okay, let's just go to MPM, uh, Formik. Okay, and I will go here. And in order to show you something, I will just use React strap. I think it's something that you are using. I have seen it that you are using it. Okay, as you can see it, per week, we have around 2 million downloads. I
Mm.
mean, that is telling you something. And if you see React strap, it's 300,000. And I can show you something, for example, uh, let's say material UI, material UI, just material UI core. That is also very nice. Here you have a 1 million. I mean, these are big libraries. I can show something, for example, Redux or wherever you wanted to see it in this case. I mean, you can see it. What do we have? Redux, even though I am not a fan of Redux, is another library that is worth to know it. When you want to learn something, I will suggest you to go to npm and see, okay, if is this something useful in the market or is something that is not useful, because I don't want to learn something that it will not give me any plus into my curriculum. And this one is telling you a lot about what we are having over here. Another thing that helped me to know what to learn is if I go to the Formix and I can see, for example, here, and I can see the pull request that we have it. For example, here, it's saying that in October, in August, in April. I mean, it is a library that is still alive, right? They're still adding some extra things over there, and then you can just go and try to go and see what's going on. And going to these libraries can give you some information if you are like what is new in one library. You can just go into the GitHub and see, okay, what was the last release? And you can come here and read something.
What the
Then
downloads for the React strap?
300,000.
300,000.
Here it is.
That's understandable. Why?
Uh-huh. Pues the people, the thing is like it's just a library to tools and there are something that, for example, material core npm. I think like because there are too many libraries that you can find it. For example, here look, it's 1 million. Then they are dividing the we have material UI, we have chakra UI, we have tileways, we have in this case, there is something that is trending right now that is called Radix, Radix UI in this case. It is very trendy. NPM, I mean in the community, but look, even doesn't have anything too many. But this is just primitives, let me see. Because in big companies, as I hear it, they are trying to get this Redis UI. I mean, like it's the inconvenient Redis UI. And if I go to the documentation or something, let me see, Redis UI. Uh-huh. Oh, interesting. There are two here, primitives and teams. Maybe this one has different. No, 100,000. But this is tend to be an attendee, as you can see here, right?
Mhm.
It's an attend. There are some people that are using. And this one is quite standard. You don't have many changes during the time. Look, the package is 2 megas that you are adding over there. And for example, here, look, 1 day ago, they are doing it pretty well right now, making pull requests and improving it. Just to do it. Then this is the reason what I will be showing you Formik. Formik is a very nice tool that we can use it. It's worth to learn it, and many companies are using it. And the way that it's built it is quite similar. And that's it. It's just easy, nice, and good thing to work. Why? We are doing too many forms. And when you are doing too many forms, someone say, okay, we are lazy, we don't want to do forms. And let's imagine a way that we can have this form in an easy way. As everything, you can install it just, you go to Formik, you select this one. Remember that you can use npm, or you can use yarn, or you can use pnpm is the same stuff that you are using. npm versus yarn versus PMPM, and you can just, they are just packet management. In another words, they are just that thing that you have in your telephone to download your application, right? You download your application, and this one is helping you to manage and create it. In this case, the packet.json, and the packet.json is just where you are compilated all the information that you have it, and for another people to use your same stuff. I will be using Code Sandbox. It's very similar, and I will just be adding, in this case, something, for example, Formik. And here will give me the Formik. um, And, and as you said, I have Formik. Boom,
Mm.
over. Nothing more. That's it. I install a Formik, and it's completely over. Um, what form we can do? Whatever we want. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The idea of Formik is two concepts. You, when you have a formic, you have a state. And when you have an state, you have some actions. And what are the actions that you need in a form? When you are creating a form, which are the actions that you usually perform with the form? Try to isolate the form into what is a form themselves. Which are the actions that you have? Maxat?
Post
When you create a form, which are
or
the
get.
actions that you usually perform?
Get or post.
Also, yeah, you get the information and you show it. That is one. Yeah.
Actually, I want to send that my form to my uh to my server to keep the data.
Send it, right? The send it. That is submit. Perfect. Yeah. But what else okay, that is a very good point. Very good point, right? Like I send the data. You have to, you get the data, you show the data. That is in this case, you have that state that is showing the information and you want to send it. But I think like there is also something in the middle between those two things. Any idea? Anyone else? What do we usually do? Like, okay, I'm writing data in my form, in something red appear over there, right? Like, just being in mind, Sultan, David.
You mean rejected it's or something else?
The rejected is a very good word, but it's like a, but yes, I rejected. Okay, cool.
In the middle.
Yeah, we're big man.
Validation.
Validation, exactly. We need validation.
Ah.
Okay, that is rejection. The Sultan said that we get the data, we validate the data, and we send the data. Do we do something else? Everything, everything in between those three steps is completely wherever we want, right? There is nothing more. I mean, like, oh, I had to multiply, I had to do. This is just details of implementation. Then that every project will be different. I, when, but now let's go a little bit deeper. In which moment you validate? When do you validate?
When you are
Mm-hmm. Tell me.
you are typing.
Okay. Okay, when you are typing. Okay. Just I find it a little bit annoying, but yeah, why not? It's a possibility. Because if I
And
am typing, I am
Like
on submit.
on
on
submit is
Submit.
another way. Yeah. On submit, on typing. What else? Yes.
On change. On submit.
On change is like on typing, that is exactly what being my told you. On change, that is more specific, right? On change, we validate, on submit, we validate, and when do we validate? I mean, think about the form that you are creating in the when also using validate. You don't have to use the specific word, you can use in this moment when something happened in this way.
when you
Mhm.
sign up, like you have to like type specific symbols in order to be like
You are true, but I consider that already implementation. What I will validate, like the lanes, the types, that is.
um,
But yeah, but this is also good. Someone has another idea when do we validate? Moment. I am thinking about the moment that you validate.
can you give hint some?
Yes, absolutely. For example, I cannot give you a hint because I have to give you the solution, but the majority of time you validate when you finish typing and you go to the next field, right? When you go out from the field, in that moment you think like the person finished typing and okay, now I validate you. That is called on blur. Like it's just the name that why on blur? No idea. But it's called when you went out, for example, right now I am here. When I press enter, right? When I press in this case tab, that I go to the other field. The majority of time, like let's say Facebook, okay, you have it here, and for example, when I undo here, and when I press the other one, right? In that moment, we can validate. That is a very valid moment. That the validation and here has to give me some error, and I go over here and I some data, and it's giving here, and it's giving me the error, right? Nothing more. I personally, those are the moment that I use it. With the way that we organize our code, that is just uh, the ways we can just have components or wherever, and then you can have something like a form, and inside the form you can have something like a subform, right? Like a subsections or wherever you want it. Personally,
Mario, sorry.
yes.
Yep, validation comes together with Formik, right?
No, there are two different things, but I will not be, you can notice here, I will not take in much into this validation. I will show you the one that Formik has itself, but Yelp, I think it will be tomorrow because they will show you one library direct for doing it. Then I will go you today what you have for native, what is come with Formik.
Oh, okay. It's
That
separate, right?
yeah, yeah, it is a different one. Yeah, that is why we will not taking it. Right here we have the components, and I will just create a form. Okay. Then when you have a form, most of the time I just like to have one index, yes, and the form. Let me just not rename it this guy here, and I will just call it form. Okay, main form.js. I will just call it like this. Let's create this form, and I want to say, would you mind to tell me? I just want to create the simple form, a simple component that I can call here in my main page that is just saying form. Don't think about anything. How do you usually create a form? What do you use? Hmm?
Form element.
Element.
Oi. Input.
Don't think about input. I just want to show this one, for example. This is a form.
Create.
That is what you will be sending at the end. Do you have some preference? How would you create components? Just as curiosity.
How to create component?
How to create component?
Is
Okay,
your question? Or
no,
what?
no. Let me create this form. Okay, let's say like I have the function, and I return this thing. Okay, I am returning this thing.
Mhm.
How can I use this component here?
Export, import,
Okay, yeah, that part. How you export them?
export default form.
Export the file
This is
form.
like big difference. I guess it does matter.
There is some different that I wanted to not in another step, but okay, now I will use it here. What do you think if I do something like this? Import and in this case something from, and I will just go and get it in this case, right? Component, I think that we will have here. I will say import tomatoes from, and I will just get it here, components, dash, form. Okay, then we have it here, import tomatoes, something, something. Here form, and I will just import this guy from make form, and I will say tomatoes. Is this thing going to work or not?
No.
Yes.
Why not and why yes? That is very interesting part.
Can you show me what was the function name in your main form?
Form.
Just form? No, it's not gonna work. You need to change to the form.
Since maybe because by the default, by default we send it. So
Exactly. Well, that is why it's very bad to name the things by default.
so maybe if you have one component, since you have one component, why not?
Because when you have I can just show you something very beautiful right now just for you to take a notice. Imagine right now that you have a small project with some components, for example here, and I go look all of this, and I will enter into discounts, and then I will enter to CSS, then I will enter into components, then I will enter to discount configurator, then I will enter into this, then to wherever I have it. The problem when you start having a very complex application is just simple. I can name this thing whatever I want, and I don't want my other coworkers name the thing that how they want it. One way to protect yourself is try to avoid to use, in this case, export default. And the way we can just use, in this case, uh,
Export const.
yeah, and then you use export. Honestly, in this case, you force the people, in this case, to use some, in this case, you will force your coworker to use the name that you want. And what is the easy part about it? That now all your components in all your application by default, they have to be using, in this case, that name. That is why it's good to use, to try to avoid sometimes to use export component default, because when the database start growing, some people will call it with a different name. And for example, I can just call it like a form. And imagine if you have a coworker that is dyslexic about me, and say you are exported default, and he export forms. That is going to work if you are using in this case for by default. And that is how I start this part of adding button names everywhere and you don't know where they are tracking. Just is an error that I committed all my life, and it would be nice to just to tell you, right? It's recommended, not necessary, not by law, to use components not exported by default. It just tends to create these problems that I show you. But feel free to do it as you want it. Now, let's create a simple form. Uh, Let's create a form. And this form, today, the topic is very simple, right? We will create a form, then I will give you some times, and you create your own forms, and you do everything. Okay? When you are creating a form, usually you are having some state management and all those stuff. But today we will just let's see here a basic form here, and we use an image, basic form HTML. Okay, this is the most simple thing that I can see. All right. Username and password. Don't think about that I will be just put it zero and you have username, password, and one submit. Later the idea is like you can extend this thing how you want. You want to add CSS, HTML, whatever you want to this form. It's up to you. It's nothing more. Formik, Formik. In this case, you just come here and import something from, and I will just in this case, import. That would be something interesting. No? And here you will have Formik. And what you will import? Formik. Okay, that it was very difficult, right? You import them Formik for Formik. Formik. Think about it like one environment. I am creating an environment, and inside that environment, it will live Formik. Think about like a one stage, or you have a house. And inside that house, you have the kitchen. And inside the kitchen, you have all the instrument that you can use it in order to cook. Then Formic will create you this room. Inside that room, you can use more stuff related with Formic, right? Formic is is something that is called a callback component. It's using some very interesting way of created components that we have it. Okay, I will export something. Okay. The majority of time I will be using. Do you remember how these things are named?
Fragments.
Fragment, exactly. We use when we use it, just maybe I will have to wrap other thing inside. But Formic, in this case, as you see it in uppercase, okay, then you have Formic and you close the Formic. Okay, that's it. That is Formik. Everything that you put here inside is what Formix will be. It will be in the country of Formix. That means like you will have access to Formix itself, like an states and everything. Formix has a couple of cool properties or props or wherever that you have it. Three, I will tell you that they are the most important. One is called initial values. That is an object. The other one is validate. Then guess what? It's a function. It's a function. And another one, on submit. Okay, on submit. That is also a function. Those are the things that you have it. These are the minimum that you need. Initial values, validate, and submit. Do you remember that we were talking about loading the information? Maybe you can have a call to the backend over here. Like let's say it, you call the backend, and back end, and the values from the backend you lift them into the Formik. Okay, and you just put it over here. That is the initial value. Validate, validate is validate me those elements, how, wherever you want. And this one is a callback function. And get what? It will give you the values. The values that you will have in the form. And on submit, you will have all the values. That's all. You don't have anything extra. Well, there are other things that we will be adding it, but it's arriving over here. Now, for me, it has a very special way to be working. Okay, it's using one pattern that is called render props. Render prop is our old way to do it. Render props. Props. Render props pattern. It's just a pattern that is quite an old way, but it was created in this way that you have, for example, you have the div, you have the component, and it's using a render property that is a render. If you see your component, here you have the render function, right? That is the return in your render function. Well, in Formik, you will also have something similar. And this is called basically a render function that you have here. And here you will get one value that is called Formik. This one is the structure. I am not inventing anything. It's not that I am smart. It's nothing. This is Formik, what you have over there. This is something that we have to learn it. Honestly, I don't have anything extra to do it. This is the basic structure. And you are seeing, if I remove this part, you have from the line 5 to the line 17. There are, oh no, even less, from the 515 to the line 7. In other words, we have 8 lines. And this is the structure of Formik. If you learn these 8 lines, that it will be, I think like 8 lines is something feasible to learn. I mean, it's not anything extra. Formix, initial value, validate, on submit, and this one. This is what we have to learn. Everything else that we put it inside, that will be nothing more. This is the one state, the initial state. This is the validation state, and this is the submission step, or the state or moment that you have it. Formik has more things, absolutely, but this is the bare bone about Formik. With that one, we have everything. Now that you have everything, now start the funny part. Now let's say like we want to add something into my Formik. Okay. Then I just say something like, I will just add one input. It can be a component or whatever you say. Then I say the type of this guy will be a text. Okay. The value will be something. On change will be something. Do you remember that before when you were creating the forms? And let me just, how we call this one? Let me just add it. What it will be important, it will be added a name. This will be important here. Let's call it in this moment, this one. What was this for username? Okay, let's call it this username. Username. Okay. Then the initial value here will be username. This is an object, right? A username. And because it's an object, and let's call it Sultan. Mhm. The cool thing start in this moment, America, because now we have everything Formik. You have this Formik. This Formik is like a Harry Potter one, and we say Formik values dot username. Save it. Okay. Now we just say Formik dot handle change. And that's it. I don't have to create a state. I don't have to do anything. And you know what? I can just do something like this. Values. Oh, see, I think I have here an inconvenient. Okay, let me see, because this guy is not saying Formic dot values dot because I did it. I added it here in validate. Nobody's telling me anything, and I am trying to add it over here. Let me see. Values dot username. Okay. It's an object is a object that I have here, username. Maybe I am just doing something here. Property message. I think I am doing something wrong here.
Don't we need the JSON stringify or what is it to
No,
use?
no, no. In this case, that thing will not need anything, basically. There you have. I just needed to refresh. Oh, what's going on if I remove it? Sultan is over there. You are just doing it, and I call it Maxer. It's fine. I don't have any inconvenience. Mario. But in this one, is already a control component. If I inspect this guy over here, and I will go, oh, I don't have application. Okay. Oh, interesting. I don't. Oh, look, I don't have the React. That means I usually use something. This React tools. React developer tools. Okay. For Chrome. Oh,
You have it.
and no. It was over there. It was just disabled. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. It's just using the developer mode. Okay. I just have one script today. I have to be doing a couple of funny stuff here. Uh, I had to, okay, I have the application. I had to have console. Oh, it's not giving me because when I open this guy, it's not giving me the developer mode. Reference. I suppose that it has to do me experiment. I just wanted to show you that even listening the application. I don't have much resources, stop, override, snippet. I just wanted to show you that we have one state over there, but it's not giving me the tools that I would like to have. I remember that Code Sandbox usually had those tools over here. Desktop Chrome tool preview. So we have it here. Doesn't support inspecting. And it's just I don't have access to.
Oh,
Here it is, component. And here you have Formik. Okay. And look here, you have Sultan. Okay, but this I will have to move it, and then I will have to here. Let me just here. Tomatoes. I will have to. But believe me, it's changed here. Here you have it, the values.
Hmm.
This Formik is the initial state, but in the Formik you have a provider, and here you have the values, and here you have tomatoes, or I can just use in this case, for example, Mac sat. And now you have all the state here. You will have all this extra superpower that you have here that we will be start to using handle on chain, handle on everything. If you ask me, Mario, how Formix know what to update because of the username? The name is connected to the values, and then when Formix create the handle, is updating this state. And this state is just basically one object that you are having here, and then you have access. How you have access? It's through this function that is a render prop function. If I am adding a new value, I don't have to create a new state. I can add something like a password, and I can have here, I don't have anything, and I create another input. Okay, I create another input, and I just say, okay, input type input. Okay, input type. If I don't remember, there is something called password, right? Yeah, password name that is important. How we will name it? Password. How I will manage it? In this case, you continue and say the value. What is the value? The value is in Formik dot values dot password Mario and the other part. Okay, on change, on change, on change, on change. I don't want to do anything. Formik, okay, Formik dot handle change. And I think I have to close the form. Oh, and you have it here. What is the value? Something that you are having over there. I can just come and update this one. And if I go to the provider and I get into this one, here I have the values. I don't have anything in the password. I mean, this is what you have it, and that is what you have it into the password. I need a value that is false, true, wherever. That is an implementation part. But all your value, what is your form or the state of your form is already used here.
can you please show one more your Formik?
Yeah.
Like initial value user blah 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 validate on submit Formik dot. When you put Formik dot value is going to the initial value, right?
No. Initial state is just the initialization. Then Formik create an state, and that state is the one that you are manipulating. That is why when I open it here, I have Formik. Look, Formik initial value. And look, there is Sultan. But if I change here, so for example, Jose, the initial values are the same. But if I go, the state is here, and
I
now it's
just
Jose.
I just want to, if you go back to your code, I just wanted to see, or for example, from line 6 to like to line 10, line
Yeah, this
for
one.
example. Yes, so I just look it like an object because you put like an object forming that value. Just want to
Yes,
find
exactly.
out where is like forming tag, like where is your value from like invalidate or on submit, where is it?
No, no. Okay, let's remove this one for now to not to have it over there and to concentrate just in the state.
Yeah.
This one is just this. We are leaving the state. We are lifting the initial state. Formik take these values as the initial state. Initial state. Now that he has the initial state, he remember the initial state, but create a new values that is using as a parameter what you are giving to me, right? Like this is what he entered. He remembered them, but he create an state. That
Yes.
state is the state that you are changing.
Yes, I got this one. This one I'm asking like, so if you put the formic dot value, it means it's going to the initial value, but not the previous. It's going to bring you the new one. But what I'm asking, when you put the formic dot value, you go to the initial value. That's how we know where is the username, where is the password, right?
Exactly.
That was my
Exactly.
question. Yeah,
Ah, okay. Okay,
let's
cool.
make sure.
Okay, that made me happy. That makes sense. Okay, that is what we have it, and there is nothing. Then the other part is we need to validate that stuff, right? Okay.
Maya, before we go
Yes.
into next question about the handle change. So handle change, if I correctly understand, it's like what we have instead of our component Formik. This is like kind of already built in inside the Formik, right? The handle change. So, and that handle change, it's, I guess it's a function inside of Formik, which is changing the name of value. Am
Yes.
I correctly understand or no?
Yeah. What is doing here is formula change. Take the name and look if it exists into the object that you have here. When they exist, that is why this one has to match to this one. Then they say, okay, this input has the value name. That means like a they exist into the values. Then I know what to update. That's it. And the idea of the inputs are they are the majority of time primitives. The majority of time they are primitive. Then just update that exactly property
So
is
if initial value is not changing, it's like always constant. So what is the name is changing then?
then you will not need a form.
Then I will need a form.
Yeah, because if you have a value that is in this case static, why you will need to modify?
No, the question is different. So now when you are like changing the name Sultan to different name,
Yes,
what is this new name is like the
the
storing,
storage.
like what is it? Yes.
Is here. The thing is like exists to when you create Formik, there are two different states. The initial state is the one that you use it to load it, but Formik create inside it these values. These are the values of Formik, and you have these values. Then everything is stored into these values. These values is different. In this case, for example, maxat, then here is saving this information inside those values. This
Yes.
is an
Okay.
internal state that you have it, but the initial value continue the same.
Okay, you are storing in a value. Can you show me how you like sent the new data and the username to your values? In just
That
here. So the value is not the same as values, right? It's different. The value, the format that values that password, it comes from the value. Okay, just to show the value. The on change, the main idea is on change, right? The on change is changing the values, but we cannot see
Exactly.
the handle change. It's sense of like the underhood of Formik.
Exactly. Because this one is my, what you are not seeing here is every time that is a change, this got called with, if you see it here, the React change, here, if we go it over here, that is basically creating a re-render. Every time that you change over here, the value enter here and re-render it again. You change this one, Formik enter, see if there are some changes and adding it into the input values. There are a lot of things like we are just, okay, he's managing. I don't care how he is managing in some ways. And I mean, that is the main idea to use a library, to put some of your knowledge aside and like, how you are managing. Okay, it's Formik and you trust Formik in this case, like you are doing it properly. If someone asked me, Mario, but how the hell I will be trusting this Formik? I'm sorry, believe me, there are a lot of companies trusting them just because. For example, everything that you see in Airbnb has with Formik. If they trust them, I trust them. That is what we have it. And I cannot. If I had to say this one, but this is similar what we have in use state, right? Like it's just managing. Formik is managing its own state. How is updating? He take the name, map it into the initial object that you are adding it, exists, then take the value into the input, pass it into the function, and when you are lifting this initial state, Formik inside, think about like a Formik, like a function, right? You have a function, and this function takes some values, for example, take some values, and inside is saying like a const copy values equals, and here create a deep copy, right? A very deep copy of the values. And then when you modify something, you modify copy values. Copy values something equals something. This part is doing a forming. It's taking this is forming, taking some values, I create them. And later I want to do something like a reset, then I say, then I say copy. Well, let's say this one is just a let, and then I just say, okay, I want to reset. Okay, then I say copy values equals to values, and I am just returning because the values will never touch it. I am just working with one copy inside my Formik. That is the copy that you have here. These values is not initial values. It's just a copy of the initial values that I am using in order to update it with my Formik. Make sense? Or I am speaking too much?
Yep, makes sense. Seems like if we have handle change, we have to, it's supposed to be handle submit there on built in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Quick question. That
Yes.
Formik, it is the parameter Formik, right? The
Yeah,
parameter.
That
So
is the parameter that exists.
Since we're using this parameter, the Formik value is that username.
This is like what we have.
Or its argument.
That is a very good question that I don't really know it. Look, it's just a function, and basically it's an argument or it's a value. Basically, it's both. I really don't know how to define it, honestly, in that moment. What I will tell you is that this in this case is a callback function. Every time that you are passing here, the Formik is getting back. Like basically this one is a prop because you are rendering this prop that you are having here. Look here, I just say Formik props. that you have over here. Yeah,
Mhm.
I can investigate, but I really don't know how to define it right now. That parameter or property or something. No, I don't feel secure to tell you what is the proper name for that one. Because if I see it from one way, it's a parameter because it's entering into the function, right? It's a parameter. But it's also a property that exists into the Formik because it exists into this other Formik and is passing over here. I really, I'm sorry, I don't know how to, but I will investigate it and I will tell you Friday what is the
Okay.
proper name because I don't know. Okay, this is what we have it. Then you can add every HTML that you want here. I mean, like there is nothing inconvenient with this one. Feel free to add whatever you want. I mean, like you can add div, you can add list, you can add whatever you want. There is nothing. This one that you have here is basically just a component. There is
Also,
no
also from other frameworks, right? From Material UI, wherever we want, right?
wherever you want in this case. I am trying to make it as simple as possible, but doesn't matter what you pass over there.
Okay.
Your own component, Material UI, component, Boost, React Strap, or whatever. Just put it over there and magically they will work. Not magically, but it's fine. It's not important for Formik, this one, because this one is implementation. What type of input or whatever. What is important for Formik are these two things.
Mm.
The value and the on-chain, I'm sorry, these three things. Okay, the name, the value, and the on-chain. Okay, those are the three things that you need. Why? The name, similar to the value, what you want to show it, and on-chain in order to form it to create this, how is it called? Oh, control component. Yeah. Those three things that you have over there. That is basically everything that we needed in order to display information. Mario, do we need a use state? Maybe, I don't know, but Formik has its own state in order to do it over here. That is what we have it now. How over time? Do you want break or do we continue and then we have like a something?
We can have a break.
Okay, let's have 10 minutes.
If other
And after,
course, no. Okay. I just say
tell me, you are the boss here, not me.
I'm not boss here.
You are.
Yeah.
Okay, just a simple employee.
What other
No,
boss says? It's many.
what the other, but I have four here. It's not that even I have one. Uh, in my company, I just have to support my manager, but here
What
it's just not it. Huh?
that would what you wanted to say?
No, that I mean, like, I find that I ain't just joking about this boss or not boss. I mean, nothing next, nothing next.
I wanted to say if you guys okay with the break or no. I'm just asking.
Okay, democracy. 10 minutes. See you in 10 minutes, guys. Okay, see you over there. Then, my dear friends, we can continue, I think. Yeah, seriously. Okay. Second part, we already have the information, and now I will something that is called validate. Validate is just a property, right? Like a prop, and get a callback function. The callback function get here the values. They call the values. And we can just say console.log values. And I will just go to the console. I make it bigger. I refresh it. And I will just move this one here. And there you have. The values are the values that exist into the form. There is nothing more. The validate is basically a callback function. They get, in this case, one parameter, and that parameter is the state values from Formik. Formik itself pass into this validate a function. That function gets as a parameter the values that exist in that moment into the Formik, and whatever you do over there is already your inconvenience. Another thing that you have to know is that Formik here. Here we go it, and we go to the provider, and you have here, you have this object, and this called is error. That error is what you return here. From this function, you have to return something. You have to return something. The majority of time will be an object. The majority of time will be an object. And this, what you return from validate, will be added into the errors. And that errors will be existing into, let's say that we have here, say Formik dot errors. Dot errors. They are here. For example, right? Here, that we have it over here. It's basically that is the logic of this guy. Formik, get the input get validated on change. The values enter here. Here we will perform some validation. If we want it, we will return the errors. It will be a very interesting error. I will create. And I will create an object. Why? Because the objects are very nice to describe things. And let's create cons errors. Errors will be equal to an object. Into the values, we can just create those validations. Let's say that we need that the values dot name dot length. Or we can say is less or equal than 8. Then if that is equal to 8, then I say errors dot, and I can just add the username equal true, because the error are just true or false. Do we have some extra error? I doubt it. And at the very end, you return those errors. This validation can be for wherever you want. I mean, that is not important what you want to do the validation. Then we have here the provider. We have it, not error. Let me just modify. And here we have Then I just say Sultan, Sultan. Then the error don't exist. Why? Because this function was never run. Remember, this one error get created every time that this is evaluated.
What is the
Ah, mhm.
dirty mean?
What is the what?
Dirty. It was a dirty there.
That means like if you change it something. That means like if dirty, it will means like you change it something. Like look, when you enter, if you say dirty, say false. That means like nothing is changed. The state
Clean.
is clean. Then when you change it,
It's
now
dirty.
the state, yeah, now the state will be dirty because the difference between the initial state and the states of the form is different. That means, for example, dirty, you can use it like a, do you want to save? Then it's a very nice option. Let me create one other one. Here I will create a div. It's very nice what you are. Let me say that I have here, I will just say Formik dot 30. If it's 30, if it's 30, oh, okay, if it's 30, then I can, for example, add one div. I will can have a button that is saying, in this case, save. It's just an example, right? But now you're putting, okay, now I don't have anything. But if I change something, now I can save it because something changed in my form. I mean, what do you do with that element? It will be a, that is already implementation stuff, right? Okay.
Optional.
Yeah, it's nothing more. But that is what Dirt is doing. Please don't, you can ask me whatever you want, but don't expect that I know all of those guys, right? But the majority, more or less, I know them.
Actually, you can see it in some web page. When you fill it up, is a couple things came up. Maybe, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I agree. That is what we're having. I mean, remember, Formik is just a tool. Then how the errors are the majority of time working? The errors are basically like this. Down the error, you can say Formik dot errors dot errors dot errors and the error that you want, username. If that error is correct, oh, I hate this thing right here. If that error is correct, then you print the error. I mean, like there is not something more like you have an error. Then we are arriving here and I start moving the stuff. Okay, you have an error. Then when you are convenient, okay, the error went out, you have an error. I mean, the validation is not important for me in this moment because I don't know what you will validate, right? You can, oh, I want to validate an email. Okay, that is implementation, what you are validating over there. I want the number be bigger than 3. Okay, that is implementation. That is not tooling. The tool, the important is that the validation is working. Get a value, this value create an object, this object you create a validation depending what you wanted, right? Then you go over here.
In
As
most forms, you can see says it's supposed to be at least 2 numbers, at least like couple characters and 1 symbols. So is it validation, right?
This is validation, correct. And how you can do it? I mean, like you can create in this case a function like exists a number here. Yes, okay. Then you go to the next one. Get all the numbers. Okay, you have the numbers that exist in the character are more than this. Yes, the letters. See, they are. I mean, but this is implementation. you look into the string of character if all your characteristics are fulfilled, right? And you say yes, 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 all cool. No, then you make an error.
Mm.
But if you see it, I can just start it like the field exists, yes. The lens is what I want, yes. And then I say, for example, I can just maybe create an object where in one place I have all the uppercase, then I have all the lowercase, all the numbers and all the symbols, uh, and create for example, I don't know, where just comparison what I needed. That it will be something that I will have to be thinking about how to do it. For example, if you have the password, I don't know. Uh, I will make something very stupid. I would just say, so here, look, if values dot password exists that I have here, then I will just say if an string, I think I can say if, I'm sorry, I am returning before this. If values password, and I can do something like this, right? Value password dot uh, find, and I say element, and I say element equal at, and then I say length, right? If this one is equal to 0, then I say errors dot password equals to, and I can make it very complicated or whatever, but I can just say just true. And I go to the error and I say Formik dot errors dot I hate this, errors dot password and exit, and I just like something like you need to add an add to the password. And for example, I go over here and I start adding, okay, length. Okay, password dot length. Because it's 0, right? Because it's 0, I like maybe I can say index of. I think this one it was very, very well, but I say index of. I don't remember this one, index of, or this one is bigger or equal than 0. I think this one will make more sense. Oh no, it's equal to -1, right? Is equal to -1 because index of, and if this one doesn't exist, it will give me -1. Then I can just start adding some. Oh, okay, you have an error. Okay. Error password. Values dot password. I am here. This is just console log. Values password. I'm sorry, this is just already implementation stuff. There is the password. Look, is I just didn't save it. I think value of password. Then I just add this one. Oh, look, you don't have a. Now I add the at, then I don't have that error. If I go to the values, I have the at there. I delete it, then I have an error. I mean, this one is already implementation, what you want to validate or how you want to validate this is not about, in this case, Formik itself. What you want to validate, that goes up to you. You don't have to return here an object. You don't have to return a true or false. You can return an object. I mean, did you like a exist like a error, and I say display, and I say true, and then I say something like a message, message. Please add some error here, my friend, and then you add
Well,
something. It doesn't really matter what you instead of here, then you say password exists. And if password exists, then I can say something like, okay, if exists, give me the display, for example, here, give me the display, or I don't know, dot message maybe, I don't know, message. If that exists, then show the message, right? You show the message. I think this one is not going to is maybe giving me one error specifically. I think it's here. Just if error message password message doesn't exist. Okay, let's say like if error password exists. It's here. Right? If error password exists, then if password message exists, then in this case display something, and you are here. Okay, please add some error, my friend. I mean, you can add whatever you want over here. This is already implementation. I add the add and it go out. This one is not limited to true or false. You can pass an object, you can pass wherever you want. Everything here is starting from your imagination, what you want to display, what you don't want to display. Remember here, maybe you don't have an ad, and this is the example that David was doing. Maybe I can count how many uppercase I have, how many lowercase I have, and you can create like a very complex validation rules, but with a small case, right? And every validation will have a different message. But when you show it here, you will maybe just show one message, or you can show a lot of message. It's up to you.
But I have a question.
Yes.
Can you scroll up, please?
Yes.
Why did you spread the values that password?
In order to create an array, because I think index of only works in arrays, or not. I really don't remember that part because I wanted to use this filter or something in order to have access to all the properties of the arrays.
What was the initially object?
This one, a string.
No, like you are creating then. You are creating the array. So the reason is you are creating array is because initially it was object.
They need no, because I have values. Values is an object and password is a string.
Key, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then why are you spreading? Because you wanna keep.
Because I think index of works in a in an array, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's working in array.
Yeah,
I
yeah. Look,
understand it, but
array prototype at the index of.
I guess I have already forget about it. That the spread. If you just put the values that password without spreading, what's gonna happen?
Then then in this case, I think it's not going to work. Here, please, you have some error. I will add the add, but it will not look. I am adding the add. Uh, I am adding it right now, and I can show you here. And look, if we have here, no. Here, look, I have the add, but it's not finding it because basically, if this one, I am just saying, uh, in the array position 0, then I will have to say it in the array position 0 in order to have that element. I think that one may work. Okay, then it was not needed in this case, the spread operator. It will work the same. Now, it's also validating it with index of is also working into given can be found array. Yeah. Yeah. It's finding it, but basically it's both that doesn't have to work because index of is an array property, but the strings tends to be a list of character, and the list of character behave a little bit like a array. But this is just because of the
So
quirk of JavaScript.
in your values is the object. Inside of object, you have the password and username keys, right?
Yes.
Okay.
More question. We are okay with the question. Okay. I am saying this can be as crazy as you want it. I mean, it doesn't have to do. One a normal thing that you will have it the majority of the time is you will have some validation. Validation dot yeah. So wherever you want, it will just be a function. Majority of the time you can just create something like a export cons validations, and this validation get those values, and you will just return something. Okay. What do the majority of time you have it? You get all of these guys over here, all of those guys over here, and you put it here, you put it here. Then we get those validation, and we import it. Import something from, in this case, validation, right? In this case, we say validation. Then this validation, you have the values and you pass it into the validations. In theory, it has to be the same. I mean, like you are not doing anything extra. So just dividing. Let me just remove one. There you have the A. Okay, add. Why is that? Because the validation can be a very long file. Then it's a good stuff just to put it outside in order to not to have this form with a lot of crap inside one place. But this is just a personal thing. If you want doing it, if you want to continue adding all the information here, is the same. Just as more atomic you can make your code, it's easy to do it. I think like you have read this thing that is called solid principle. And one of those solid principles that you have to fulfill is something called simple responsibility or interface segregation. Look, instead of something general, you can create things that they are just doing into one thing. And single responsibilities, you only have one way to change it. Okay, but I think we are just using this. Look, depends on abstraction rather than concrete implementation. What is this? This is an abstraction. Validation. What is doing validation? I don't know. Why? Because I just want to validate my form. Then validate the values with validation, the values. And I am getting the errors. What is doing here? If I need to do it, I will do it here. That allow me to extend it. If I add another input, I just go to validation and I do the validation over here. That's everything. It's nice that when you try to use a little bit cleaner code, if it's possible, right? But it's up to you. That is why we have it, this type of code. Um, Questions? I am doing it well, or I suck and it doesn't make sense what I am doing it. Okay. Remember that silent can be, oh, it's so cool, or can mean,
All cool.
okay, or can mean you are speaking just bad things, man, and I don't understand what you are doing. Okay. Then the last one is submit. Okay. Submit. Submit, I will just tell you like this. There are two things that are happening. When you have submit, you have here values. But the majority of time, you will extract it. Let me just go here with values. Look, you will say values. As always, a function, a value. What you are doing here is something very cool. One second, let me just make it console.log. And I am sending the data. Refresh it. Let me refresh it.
You need that submit button, maybe.
Yes, thank you. I was already thinking that I already have it here. And I will say it like a on click. On click. On click. I will just say Formik dot get what? As David say, and let's submit. And that's it. There we go. I already make my submit button. Cool. Okay, I don't have anything. I will add some information. Let me just add it value. Okay. One thing that is happening here, if we were just working in simple React, this will work. Okay. Okay, here saying cancel, wherever you have it said warning, you submitting a Formik using a button, the type. Okay, let's go and let's say
Type
type.
submit.
Let's say type submit. Type equal submit. Okay, cool. One error less. Flash it. Hello. Save. Because I have a passport, this is it. But you notice something in my
Mhm.
console?
If you will delete just on click and keep it without on click, it's gonna show this. It's gonna show in the
I,
console.log. On click
okay, it
submit.
will show. Okay. You have here, and I add something.
I don't know.
No. That is why we are using Formik. Why do you think it's not showing us?
In my case, it's showing. Where did you hit your button?
Do you have the error showing in your code?
Oh, since I'm using that form, I'm using the form from Formik.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's why. Instead of
Could be.
Formik, for example, you are using the .diff, I'm using the form.
Okay, that's cool.
Maybe that's why, I don't know.
Okay, let me remove this error. Now I save it. Hmm. Why this guy in this case is? I hate it is. Let me just type text. Okay. Console manifest on the music. Add.
No,
No
now you
shit.
don't have one click on your button.
Yes. One click again.
Exactly.
The fa-
Okay, I have one click and I go
The,
with Formik dot
the funniest thing, I don't have any on click and it's working.
because you are using the form and the form is in this case generating this on click on submit. Yeah, because you are just manipulating the HTML. Nothing against post stuff are completely fine. Oh, look, an error. Interesting. I don't know what is that error. Let me just add. Okay, I have an error. I have an error. Let me add. I have an error.
Yeah.
Because it passed the validation.
Now it's
And then after,
submitted.
Nice.
Yes, that is something that I personally I don't like about form. It's not too many things. I mean, like there are some preference thing, right? There is nothing bad with one approach with another one. It's just an approach. But I like more Formic to handle my thing. First, because I am a very bad developer and I don't like to be thinking. Unless I have to think, unless I have to do, it's better for me. Then I prefer just to let Formic to do it. Just absolutely fine. I just find it very straightforward this way. And sorry, Max, that I cannot complain, explain you why this other form is working and all those things. I tend to not to use it and avoid it because I don't really understand some behavior that they have it. This is the way that I tend to use it. And if we go to the documentation, we just go to Formik.
So I also have to try to avoid using form.
Personally, I think it give you a little bit inconvenient, but if you save it here, look, I just don't like to use this submit or here, but you can have it. It's just
I did
then.
I did different. Like I used the form like a Formik. Like with I can send the
Yeah, let
chat.
me just see here. 1 second. Form. This one,
I
right?
even didn't use any. Yeah, I just use this one. And when you are using the form, you don't need any like on click button.
Mm. And
I guess it does matter or it matters.
I cannot because basically the SAM form is a small wrapper around HTML form. Element can automatically hook into Formix handle submit and handle reset. All other props are passed directed through the DOM to the node. Yeah. It's basically a wrapper that you are using and it's taking it. It's doing automatically. I will need to go into the way that is working Maxat in order to give you, because look, the explanation that I have here is they're saying that basically what form is doing, this one that you are using, this
The
one is
same.
yeah.
Maxa, did you take those elements from Formik, field and form? I can see you have field, type email. Is it from Formik documentation?
No, oh yeah, field is from Formik.
And also form too, right?
And form is also from Formik. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Field and form from Formik. I
Mhm.
was just kind of experimenting.
I get it.
That's good.
Like this, like this, like in Ajax
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
But
First,
you see, in the form, you don't need to use on submit. As was like in it was like in JavaScript.
yeah,
It's hidden
exactly.
in that form also itself. You don't need to use on submit anywhere. It's just submitting by itself.
That is good. Well, feel free to use it any that you feel more comfortable to use it. I am
But
all.
Matsa, did you have those validation or no? How it?
Yes, it has it.
Yeah, I just need no, I didn't just add it because like I didn't have a time to follow you.
Oh,
That's why I
because
skipped the part.
yes, because
But
you said it been showing you in Mario, it doesn't show. I thought it just pass your validation and just start to show.
I can, you can add the validation as well. I guess it's gonna work.
No, it doesn't have to. I mean, the logic is absolutely the same. It doesn't have to be
Just in
changed much.
case, can you copy paste and send to the validation? I will just wanna check.
Yes, absolutely. It doesn't have to. It doesn't need to be in general. I doubt it that exists any changes. I mean, it exists in the documentation here, then it's okay. Just sometimes you get used to do different way, but I I will not argument anything about it.
If we don't have Formik, then like we will do it manually, right? Create the function, if blah 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 blah, just do it everything manually, right? So
Yeah.
in this case, Formik just do it everything for you, like
The thing that you needed, Formik know where to validate, and for example, if you want to reset or anything, exists directly into the Formik. I mean,
so.
it's just instead of running, you take a car, but nothing more.
So, for example, like if you have a data and you're adding like this information to your data, right? When someone to register it, for example, your code, you're gonna put on your own submit, right? Like to adding that, to keep adding it.
Here you can start combining stuff. For example, it can be something, I don't know, I would just import, let's say like a use stay, right? Use stay from React, and you may have here cons, it, something like a is login,
I just
is a
want to see
log.
how it's gonna adding like data.
Oh, it will be basically the same uh, the same that you wanted. What I wanted to basically uh, just show it here is, for example, here in values, you can have this state. And here you pass those state, for example, values to that state. Then the majority of the time you can have like a one use effect, and you validate that like a something like a send it to the database, and you say use effect, And then you just have your effect, right? Ah, you just have your effect. That is with this login, for example. And then here, you connect to the database and send your information. I mean, this is a very common pattern that you may have it. Every time that the form submitted, the submitted entered into the state changes, then you trigger an event outside of your application. The implementation is another stuff, but the structure it will be always very similar to this one. Because what you have in Formik is just the form, right? The information, how you extract information from the form. When you submit, you have this ability to extract information. How you usually extract information? Updating an state that is inside the parents. Then in this case, access to the information outside, and how you retrigger things. Others is using an effect, for example.
Maybe I have a kind of maybe stupid question, but for example, you have a form of like you're registering, right? Like signing in. So you like fill it up, email, password, double password to check your password is correct, like whatever it is. So it's sending to the data, right? So you already for the login. When you're trying to log in, how is like understand that your data is there, it is matching there, like is sending to the data, like this kind of.
It will be something like this. Look, okay, you will have to have, and this one will be the data. Like for example, here you will say like a one login, one log function. This log function is checking your database. You are sending some information. This log function, you will have to pass it into these values. For example, right? Let's say is connected, and something like a cons is connected. Disconnected. You go and this is my imaginary function that is doing the connection to the database and is sending the request, and the request is saying true. And then you have to, I don't know, this is login. It will be called set is login. Is login. And this set is login will be updated here with is connected. Then is connected is NSC login. Then here, I'm not sure if you already saw something called React Router.
Yeah.
And you can just redirect to one place. You can redirect to one place. You can create one local variable that is say yes, it's login or whatever, one cookie or that how you manage is basically up to you. I mean, it's
So
not part of the
if
scope of the
login,
class.
sorry, means if it's login, then the React route is changing your like user interface to the login one, right? So okay.
Yeah. And for example, here you say something like a if it's login, say like a if this is true, if this is true. I mean, what you're saying, and this is how you are. If this is true, you redirect. I mean, like you are logging, but you are getting into the page login, but you are already logging. Then you don't have to render anything. You just redirect.
But Mario, sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
For example, is login, right? Is login the most of the time they're rendering the whole page, but like
No. You are
a couple
stop.
components in like in just adding to the components in your like UI. How it works? Like
No. In this case, it will not render anything because if you see it here, before rendering, before here, I am redirecting. Then it will not render anything here. It will just go to my page.
Okay.
That would be, but this is just a rough idea. It's like an implementation may change why, right? But the idea will be the same. The main idea.
My main question was, where is the, like, your like whatever you passed in your login, where is the start matching to the your data? So it's not, it's going to the database, you said, right? And
Yes,
is there, is the sending the request true or false, right? If it's false,
yes.
then all good. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, you cannot have this data in anywhere. You need, in this case, to bring this data from somewhere in the front end. We just get information and send it. But if it's valid, I don't have idea. Exists, I don't have idea. There is a server, I don't have idea. I mean, we are the managing the state, but
Mhm.
whatever is storage is a storage. Sounds weird, but it's not my business.
Get it. Okay,
Mm,
thank you.
mm.
Just
You're
want to
welcome.
understand the logic of it. So, okay.
Yeah, I mean, ask whatever you want. If it's in my mind, I will just try to answer you. Okay. That's why I'm saying this is the basic part that we are doing. Yeah, let's think like us. We can just create something small, right? Let's remove this input. I will not. I will just change it. Why, right? Just to go over that one. Do you remember that before? We used to, this is too much what I am doing, but let's say like I have one to do. Very uh, here you have this just stay, right? Yes, just stays is just an array of to-dos and cons, and we have it equals just state, and this will be just one array. This one is to-dos, and this is set to-dos. Okay, the set to-dos. And these to-dos, meh, I will not make it like a very complicated. We just say to-dos, map, element, and that element basically is just added into one simple information. And let me add one div maybe. Okay. One div, then one div. Okay. And then we have a div, and this is just the element, right? Nothing more. I don't have anything over there. Then when I enter to values, I just say set to those, set to those. It will be equal to uh, pre-values, pre-values, and these pre-values. If I'm not mistaken, enter here, and I return a copy of the pre-values plus, in this case, values. So this has to enter into an array, into an array, into an array. And here I just say values dot to do.
Mhm.
I mean, like I know that this is too much for one to-do list, and it's not too much. Let's say, look here, un control.
In your
Because
div,
to do.
you forgot to put curly braces to your in your div to your element. Line
Here,
38.
just give me. Um, let me just refresh it. Okay, Sultan. Lens. The validation, I think the validation, this one, they don't exist. This one doesn't exist. The validation right now, I will just uh, omit it because remember that I changed it. I will just, let me just omit it for now. Let me just omit it. the validation, and I will just say something like a tomatoes, tomatoes, and I will add it. Saying what I forgot?
Line 38, you forget curly braces. Inside of the
Stupid me, right? I am very stupid. Okay, tomatoes. Then I buy something like a, for example, I don't know, bread, and I add it. And I add something like a butter, and I add it. The idea is that here you are passing the data outside of your Formik. Something very cool that we can do it is here you can add something that is called Formik. Okay, Formik back. This Formik back has other functions. That is, for example, reset form. That is just a function. And every time, for example, I just started and I will add something like a tomatoes. Save. And it's just refreshing. Here is because it's arriving to my initial state. The reset form is initial state. That is the good thing about Formik, because Formik is remember how was the form before something, how we are starting in this case the form. And I say tomatoes, and I add it. Remember that error is because I am adding this D without an ID. And say butter, and I add it. Something, and I add it. That is already not that important. This one, what I am doing here is related with use state, nothing to do with Formik. This one, Formik back, is what we call it. And you can see are the Formik helpers. And one of the helpers is reset the form. All the fields go to initial state. That is the reason why. That is the reason why. That is the reason why. In this case, why this guy is not component? That is why Formik is still having this initial state. That initial state help us in this case to return to the initial state in the time of reset. What you are doing here is absolutely up to you. And I will tell you something, this it's very bad to use Formik for what to do, never do it. It's just an example.
what?
Just to, huh?
What do you mean don't to do? Like, what is it?
Don't use a Formik for make a to-do list.
Oh, okay.
It's too much. You are adding like a 2 megas of information for nothing. Questions so far?
Oh. When we're gonna use it in some project, then it might be more complicated. But right now, it's like understand everything. But
My idea is that one, David, that make it simple because complicated is easy. I mean, but if you see it simple, then just keep those simple ideas into your brain in order to use it in the future. But that's basically what we need. Okay, I think like we have 10 minutes time, and there is just one extra thing that I want to show you. And the idea is, if you see it here, this that you are using React Strap that you know, you create a user. This is the same information, just they are different type of input, right? You save the changes, and this is send the changes. You can just save it in an state and show it here. That will be the idea. in this case that I would like you to try to do it. I mean, it will be more complicated, but if you don't think about this one, this is
Using
just
form.
using Formik.
Okay.
I mean, that will be, but it's just a homework if you want it. Is, but the idea is absolutely the same. You make the fields, you make the fields. You don't have to create this pop-up if you don't want, right? You can just create the form and later you are just showing them. It's basically a to-do stuff part that you have it.
Mhm.
Les in this moment has have 10 minutes and I will come with the last part that we need to do it, okay? Because
Okay.
I need, okay. See you then. Sultan, be my how I am talking with David, but I am not sure how is everything going in your case.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Okay, that
Okay.
that is the important. Then see you. Okay. Mm, now I just want to do something else. You know, I will do it in a very small way, but the majority the majority of time it's not possible to have all the fields in one place, right? The majority of time we will have, for example, inside the form, you will have something like a subform, they say subform, or something like a to do input. Okay, inside this to do input, you will have this to do dot js, and inside this to do, okay, let's then we will just have this function. Okay, this function is let's just say it export to do the export comes to do and you will just have a function. And this to do will have this information. For example, this one. The input, maybe you, I'm not sure, but for example, when you have a big form, big HTML form, I guess, just say it, just to see an example, something over here. Uh, you have this one, right? You have this form, and very big. You have some data and everything, and this form getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I can just maybe show you something here. For example, this one. And this form is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Okay. This is Formik, by the way. This one that you are seeing here is Formik, just a little bit more complex Formik, or we go to products list and we just open one product and you have this one and you have this information over here. Everything that you are looking over here, even this one inside, this is also a Formik, just a nested Formik. What you are doing it is not important. What happened with that? The form get too big to have it in one page. Then you have to divide it. You have to slide this form. Then you say, okay, then I will take this one. Right now I am just taking one div, one input, but maybe in the future there could be like 100 divs or everything. Okay, and then you return and you return that one. Okay, you return that one. And you come here, you save it. Okay, let me just input this one. Let me just say import something to do. Okay, from data. Okay, to do input, send to do. Okay, fine. Over here, and I take this to do, and I will add it here. This one, very possible, give me an error right now. Oh, okay, Formik is not defined. Okay, this is here, Formik is not defined. Okay, how I have access to that?
Do we need the pass to the to-dos as a props?
That is the thing like I will avoid right now. We will just use one hook. This hook arrived from Formik. Import something from Formik.
Just Formik?
Yeah, Formik, no. Something is happening this and here. So Formik. For I hate this thing. It's starting getting a little bit crazy from Formik.
What happened?
Use for I don't know what's going on with this town. Use Formik. I will just copy in order to have it here. Look, we will just call this one.
Hmm.
I am just copying it because yeah, I am just using your Formik. Now I just say like this: cons Formik equals to wow, just Formik. Validate on change. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mhm. Okay, use Formik is arrived. Uh-huh. Validate on chain. Interesting. I because we just have Formik. Oh, we just have Formik. Just Formik is just arriving. Just Formik. Okay. Let me just save this thing and refresh it. Validate on chain. I don't even have this validation I have to do. Then from Formik, we will just get it here and I will just get 100 change,
Hmm.
100 change, 100 change. We will get in this case values. This one,
Hmm. Don't we need
value.
to pass it to do from the parent?
Hmm? Okay, just give me 1 second here.
The to do. Don't we need to pass it from the parent to the
No, because here we will have access through this in this case. Something is really wrong is saying to do component here saying active 3 error behavior cannot read properties auto define and reading validate on change. Use a Formik cons to do. Then we have the to do here that is arriving from Formik. Formik is arriving. Screen visible. Doesn't make even sense what you're saying. Input name to do. That is what I'm having here because console the log. I let me just refresh this guy here. So log values. I had to have this value. Cannot approach reading validate on change. Cannot read property validate on chain. Or current to do. And use it Formik. Something is really, really wrong. Okay, just Formik. Formik is just basically getting the information that I have it. Just Formik, I have, we don't have in this case, let me just remove this guy here for now. And let me just Formik, conformic, and I will just say Formik, just Formik. I know it. I'm sorry, guys. It was completely my mistake here. I don't need this. It's just Formik context that I want to use. There it is. I got just confused. I'm sorry. What I need is just Formik context. I was just using the wrong hook. Using for context allow me to enter into the context of the Formik element. That means that I can have access to the parent. This to do, now I can connect it to the parents. I mean, like with all the information that I have here. Now, this to do that you are seeing here, values to do, is arriving from the parent. Then I don't need to pass the property because I have access to the parents based on the context that I have here. How I know that?
Sorry, Mario, but we can also pass as a property, right? Our like Formik in it.
Yeah, yeah, you can. But the idea is not to do it. Why? Because maybe it's too complex, the form, then you don't have to be passing the prop from one to another one to another to another one. Then you just have access to everything that is every element that is inside Formik will have access to everything here. Then you will not need to pass anything.
Yeah.
Here,
Question, sorry.
no.
Is React have some kind of same hooks maybe built in? Like
Save.
Context API, maybe.
Yes. When I say yes, it's this one. We have this one solution that is context, the context API that is very similar, is also using a context, but it's just for passing data between components.
that's what I'm
But
asking. Forget about the Formik. Just for example, we have some kind of property in a parent. We don't want to pass in our like component. We're just using same thing. Like, do we have React hook same like something like
yeah, it's just use context.
context?
Yeah, it's context API. This one.
Okay, I
But
guess
you
I'll
haven't
learn
seen it.
later.
Yes, I can even answer you that one right now, just because he is here. Let me It's not here, it's not here, here. Is here. Just to go React router is here. Context API, here it is.
Or where? Oh, okay.
There, and is there next week.
Mm.
And then you have React router, and then you add something. Then I have here TypeScript with me.
Yeah, it looks much better than passing all your property from the parent. Like,
Yeah, the majority of time you use a context in order to do it.
Cool.
Yep. And yeah, the only thing that you are doing with the context API is like a handle on chain values and error. You are basically having access to this Formik. This object that we were using here, instead of passing anything, for example, here I could do something like a handle change, right? And I can pass something like this, Formik dot handle change. And then I can come here and get in it here, right? Handle change. And then this handle change, I will use it here. And I will not use it this one, right? Then if you see it, it's basically this, and I say, I don't know, pasta, enter. It's the same. But instead of passing it here, and I don't know which component, what I need or what do I need it, then I don't pass anything. And what I do is I get it from this hook. That is like a yes, handle chain. Now you have it. And you don't need to pass anything. But this one, the only thing that is doing it is just context is connecting to this format.
Cool.
And everything that is here, you just access it. And it doesn't really matter if you have here like a 1, 2, 3, 4 layers, you do the same. This one has access to everything here. That is basic. And that is basically everything that we have. All the basics part that we may need it into context, into Formik. With this one, it will just be up to you how much you want to add or to remove or to get into context or into Formix, I mean. There. Everything else is documentation in ChatGPT. I will suggest you to go over the documentation instead of asking ChatGPT, but that is another story. Do you think like I don't use ChatGPT to do things? More than everybody use it. It's normal. It's just a tool. Then a tool. I use that one. I use in this case, for example, Copilot. I use, for example, Tab 9. I use many stuff. I mean, everything that make my job easier, I will use it. Just when you are learning, I think it's a good idea to read the documentation, to know what is doing, because ChatGPT already know everything, but you need to know how to make those questions. And in order to know how to make those questions, you have to have some context. And in order to have that context, you need to read first to know what you are looking for. That's everything. And this is the homework. Don't think about searching, but just add user, can be a form with some information, and the form will have name, last name, email, a person. If you want it in this case, you can add some validation or anything and just add it. It's supposed that it's accrued, but don't pay attention to the part that you are sending or retrieving data from the API. That
Can
is
you
something for.
can you please send this link to the Slack, not in the chat?
Yeah, would you mind to copy because I don't have my computer? I am not at home.
Sorry. Okay.
Because I am not home. I am in Berlin right now. Then I am in a hotel basically.
Oh my god. I just asking because sometimes they are adding video in YouTube and we is no more your like chat there if you understand.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I understand
I
that
save
part.
it.
I can add it when I arrive home. I think I will sleep like a 3 hours and then I will go home, and over there I can
And
just
also, what the search is doing? Just searching the users?
just filtering the data.
Okay.
For now, it will be just filtering the data. Let me just see.
Mario,
Yes.
are we gonna learn Cyprus or no?
Um, do not know.
You know.
No, I don't know. But if they ask me, I can go over Cyprus. Not a problem.
Mm.
It's
Just
not that I
because
am a QA, but
just because the Marat like told us to do with it was one project and he said you like do also Cypress testing on your project. I'm like okay. And I started checking in and I don't understand.
mhm.
I didn't get it. I tried to learn it but by myself, but it's need more simple words to understand it. Like someone who can explain you. So.
Yeah. Mm, I can. I mean, you can request it, and they will find someone to teach you. I think that the majority of time, eh, uh, those topics are added into the class. Yeah, testing and oh, I cannot answer you like a yes, not, but I suppose, yeah. If not, uh, YouTube, but I think it's very fair. It's very fair that if you ask, hey, can you give us a class about this one? I mean, I find it fair.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, okay. Any question? Begin mine. Anything? If not, we go and sleep. Me, you, everybody.
Mm. Uh-huh. Big Mike, do you have a question?
Yes, begin mine. Um,
She raising
maybe
the
that means all is
no?
okay. Yes, you're raising the hand, but I don't know.
Oh,
Okay, begin mine. Okay, okay, cool. Thank you for letting us know. Then I think like we finish here if there is no more question, David, or if we still have like a 15 minute, you can use it as you want.
yes. I wanted to ask you one thing before you go because Marat was not able to help me. He said he's gonna check it out, but he didn't.
Hmm.
If you don't mind, I can share my screen and real quick.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
For example, I have this project, this movie project.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see here, I have my authorization. Here is my API token. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I put it in my environment. So here I have it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to put instead of like here, because I want to put in environment in my git ignore and put like create a variable here and put
Mm-hmm.
that variable instead of like my token here. But you get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I tried and it's not working. I tried, I asked the chat GPT was some kind of like environment that process, whatever it is, but it doesn't work. Can you please help me with it? Since it's like
Okay.
Vite, I create the React from Vite.
Um, okay. Okay. Just give me 1 second in this case. Dot M, you already have it.
Yes, I have.
Okay, yeah. Okay, would you mind to try? Okay, suppose. Let, I will try to get your computer a little bit, if you don't mind. Okay, where we have it. Okay, DB request remote control.
Okay, you have it.
Okay, now it's supposed that they exist. I have to call it byte. I have to call it byte, and I have to put it here. Then
Save.
import method. Okay, just give me okay. Not as you say. Okay, 1 second. Not that if you want to use inside your mind, but you have to scale with the web. Okay, okay. Import bit appetito. Okay, interface. Just only okay. Import interface. I am just trying to okay import. The meta is import meta. Okay, import meta. Okay, now I will say this one. Or at the beginning, I just want to see something here. It's saying that I can just access console.log. I have access to something that is import
Yeah.
dot
You-
meta.
Yeah, I tried to meta also.
Aha, try meta. Environment. And this one is supposed that I have to you have to get this one. Would you mind to copy that one?
It's copied.
Okay, and let's try to paste it over there. Okay, let's save it over here.
Do you want to see the console?
It will be nice.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I have to fix it. Oh yeah,
Would you
I
mind
have
to,
it
yeah,
here.
it's over there? Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Mhm.
What is it? Oh, I guess from other things. So never mind.
Yeah. Then go to the other side. Then now you just have to do like this. You have to copy everything. Remember that the authorization has
Mhm.
to be changed a little bit more, a little bit, not much, but we have to use these guys.
Mhm.
We have to use these guys here. And now we have to remove this big stuff.
Let me just remove it if you want.
Okay, would you mind to remove it?
Yeah. I think till here.
Okay, now we have to add the right
Dollar sign, right?
dollar sign, and we copy this guy here.
So we don't need to create a variable put inside it, or it's just optional, right?
I don't see any inconvenience why this has to be different. And I got now save it. I think like there will be a better on. Then let's go on. I think like you have to restart your project just to trust that if everything is okay.
Okay, just close it and
Yeah, restart it.
give me 1 second. I'll put this in. Okay. Yep, it's working.
Okay.
But one thing, because I tried this meta too,
Uh-huh.
I already tried. But one thing, I think there was something was not working also. I feel okay. The pagination is working. If I try, for example, matrix. No, it's working. Cool.
Yeah.
I honestly try with the meta too, but I guess I forget. I didn't put vid here. Why you put vid here?
Because that is what they say the documentation.
So we
Here
have
it is.
to vid.
That is the way that it work.
Because
And
I be honestly, I will try with the meta also, meta.environment.app auto token, and it will been working, everything been working till I start to searching and pagination was not working. Initially, like the This one is just camera, but when I start to pagination and like searching, it was not working.
Mm.
But I don't know. But cool. Thank you.
You're
Nice.
welcome.
Just one more thing, if you don't mind. I will.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's working. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I didn't do anything. Read the documentation, and the documentation it was written that you need to word byte over there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because in that way it understand that the house over there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Make sure this one also.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you so
I will
much.
leave you
Thank you.
anytime. Bye bye.
Bye.